Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'd like to start with a quote. The ears of the leader must ring with the voices of the people. Great president once said that. Mr. President, I rise today to make it clear to everyone in this chamber exactly why I cannot support this legislation. You've heard the chants outside this chamber, not just today and last night, but many times over the past 2 years. Thousands of people have shown up, union and non-union, men and women, mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, even their children. These are the working families of Michigan. These are the thousands of people that I was sent here to represent. When I vote no, I'm voting no on behalf of the thousands of families. Who are you voting yes for? Grover Norquist? I know he sent you all a letter asking you to support this anti-worker legislation. You are voting yes because a handful of corporate lobbyists, a handful of fat cats in the back are telling you to. That's who you work for, the powerful few, the guys with top hats and monocles. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I work for the people, for the many. I proudly represent them in casting this no vote. I'm doing what's right, what's good for the people. And I tell you this, Mr. President, we will fight you. We will not let this stand. We'll fight you from Kalamazoo to Timbuktu. We'll fight you from the streets and in the suites. We'll fight you in the penthouse and we'll fight you in the outhouse. And Mr. President, I'll tell you this right now. When it's all said and done, when it's all over, we will grab the thunderbolt of truth. We will grab the rod of revolution and we will have our victory. And the spoils will go to the working people of Michigan. And you will forever remember the day when you thought you could conquer labor. You were sorely mistaken. Be prepared to engage in the fight of your life. You might win this battle, but the wars are brewing, sir. The wars are brewing, sir. And we're coming, and we're taking no prisoners, and we're taking no quarter. And Mr. President, when all said is done, working men and women of this state will reign supreme. Thank you, and I ask that my comments be printed in the journal. Hello and welcome to the Young Effect. I am your state senator, Coleman Alexander Young II. We're going to do something a little bit different. I got a very special guest here, candidate for state senator, my old job, state senator of the 1st District, Betty Cook Scott. Let's give it up, everybody, for Betty Cook Scott, y'all. Yeah, there you go. Clap. Thank you. Give me something back here. All right. So, first of all, a pleasure to have you. Welcome to the Young Effect. Always a pleasure. I have given you my official endorsement. I think this is the best person to run for this job and run for this seat. And so I'm behind you 110%. You anything you want to tell the people about, just tell them about yourself, tell them about why you're running, why they should vote for you.
Okay, first of all, thank you for having me here. It is an honor. I used to sit right in front of you.
You did.
In the State House, and I want everyone to know that as a legislator, Senator Coleman Young, at that time State Rep Coleman Young, was truly for the people. And at that time, he was the youngest, but state representative.
Yeah,
but he brought so much knowledge and so much of the community experience from the East Side. But now he is the senator trying to become the congressman. And this is very important for you to understand. This seat is a valuable seat. It is a seat that still needs to stay. This is my opinion, with someone who's in Detroit and has done very proud and well in terms of legislation and policies for the city of Detroit. But not only Detroit, he's ready to roll up his sleeves and work for the other cities just as hard and just as aggressively as he's done for the city of Detroit. I am State Representative Betty Cook Scott. I want you all who don't know me, I want you to know right now, this day, I am a mother, a sister, and a grandmother. Those are honorable things that I have embraced right now. But previous to that, I want you to know that I was a Detroit police officer before I became the state representative. As a Detroit police officer, I worked my way up from being a patrolman to a detective to a sergeant. And just before I became the state representative, I was on the list to be a lieutenant. So working as a female was no joke on the police department. And previous to that, I taught school as an educator in the Detroit public school system. Now, as a state senator, I'm the only person who has intense job experience. I punched the clock. I am pro-labor, pro-jobs. And more than pro-labor, I'm the only one, Coleman, in this Senate race that has ever paid union dues. Union dues, that was very important for you to understand because of the prevailing wage legislation. Union dues are very important for you to know. My ex-husband worked for the UAW, Local 909, Local 600. My son was a postal worker, so he paid postal dues, and I, police and fire, and also as a teacher. So, unions, I'm a friend. My opponent is anti-jobs. And I want the people to understand that I will continue to work in the community for the people. My claim to fame, which is also Coleman's claim to fame, he won't let you all know it, is repealing that dreaded driver's
responsibility fee. Yeah, that was
Yes.
terrible. That was terrible. And I thought about you when they did that too. When they Republicans finally came over there and did that. Look, we got some calls right now. Let's go take some calls. This is State Senator Coleman Young II. I am here with State Representative Baker Scott and running for State Senate Candidate 1. That's my old job and the job I still currently hold, and hopefully I'll be in Congress. All right, we're gonna take your calls. Call you on the air. Welcome to the Young Effect. Hello, caller.
Oh, hello. Am I on the air?
You on the air? Go ahead.
Hi, Senator Young, and hi, Representative Scott. My name is Wanda, and I know of your work. You know my voice.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, why? Hey, Ms. Black, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm on a cell phone, so I don't know how this is going to come through. But I did want to say how much I think of the work that you've been doing. And I liked what you said on the show last Sunday about taking education to a federal level to improve the quality of education in Michigan and in Metro Detroit. And that needs to happen, and you had a really good plan. I was calling to ask if you would reiterate on that plan and maybe Valerie Representative Scott to let the voters know that you really have a great plan in mind to improve education in Michigan. Would you talk about that a little bit, please?
Sure. I mean, I could talk to you about my education plan. I mean, I think from the federal level, what I want to do, one, is there's something called Qualified School Academy. I think it's Qualified School Academy Zones, and basically Qualified Zone Academy Bonds. And basically what that is basically it's a financial program to be able to have provide money and no extra expense to the taxpayer programs to build schools in low-income areas. I also think we need to invest more in Title I funds. And with Title I funds, we need to expand the use of that to be able to provide more for computer classes and other things of that nature. We need to invest more in science, technology, engineering, art, and math. I think that's something that's very important for our children to be able to do. I also want to be able to use funding and grants to be able to invest more in community schools. Those are schools that will be around the state level that provide wraparound services, so jobs training, tax preparation, healthcare programs, things right there in the neighborhood for the schools, as well as seeing if we can make sure we can have some sort of federal state partnership so we can be able to have fairly qualified health clinics in a lot of these school areas. I know we already have school community academy, I say school community health centers as well on the state level. And so I think I want to provide more money for that as well. I also want to provide more money for Title IV. That's for teacher training. And also I support a better deal plan for the Senate and House Democrats, to be able to provide $50 billion to teachers so we can pay them more and better. I think 19% of teachers right now are making poverty wages or work another job just to be able to make ends meet. I think that is a shame before God, and I think that's wrong. And so I definitely think these are things that I want to be able to do in order not only just to invest in the teacher profession, but also to make sure that we have the best schools and also have the best quality of life and quality of services to our kids when they're going here from the federal government. So these are things that I want to do.
Well, I think that's really outstanding. And as I said, I just caught the show last Sunday, the end of it, and I wanted to call in today. And I've asked some of my friends here at 8330 to call in as well, because I wanted you to expand on your plan, and it sounds sensational.
Yes, and I'm sorry, I'm glad you said that because I forgot. I also want to do is we want to provide more money to be able to make sure that we can provide tutors for every child in the country. That's the goal and something I think that we should do, as well as I also want to make sure that we expand free lunch for everybody, for all the children. I think that's something that's very important. I think that we do these things as well as investing more money in expanding learning time on the federal level. That was something that the late great Senator Ted Kennedy passed, and I think that's something that we should do so we can expand that timetable from 9 to 5, because kids that are in school longer school days, longer school years, are able to learn longer. And that's what they're doing over in other countries as well, and they're seeing an improvement in these kids' lives. And also, if we expand the school year as well, we'll get rid of a lot of that downtime that kids have, so they have to rework their minds and work everything when they come back from summer. So I think that will prepare them for the workforce. I think that will prepare them as well. And I also want to partner up with or have a federal-state partnership with our schools to be able to also invest more in apprenticeship programs, particularly from the Workforce Investment Opportunities Act. I think that's something that's very important. I support the Democrats' New Deal of basically expanding apprenticeships by 500,000, so that not only that, but also investing more in pre-apprenticeship programs so these kids can get the training that they need for apprenticeship programs, and then they can qualify, particularly here in the city of Detroit. And I think that if we do these things, and when I'm talking about apprenticeship jobs, I'm talking about construction, I'm talking about police, I'm talking about fire, I'm talking about a lot of other jobs, and expanding that to places where we usually don't have apprenticeship programs, maybe in the tech industry and other such things. I think that if we could do these things, we could educate our children and give them more pathways to success in the long term.
And
I think that's sensational. And also, I know you work really support seniors in your district currently. And that means a lot, because many of our seniors are raising their grandchildren. So, because of, or helping to raise them. So I wanted to just say that your program on education is very important. And then maybe you can, I can see where you're going with it, to incorporate opportunities for seniors, maybe 55 and over adults, to go back to adult education. I know you've mentioned that before, the way it used to be when I was a young woman. You could go to adult education classes, and that was way before the GED, but you could go and bone up on some things that you may have forgotten. So I hear that in your plan as well, that education is going to be the first step to improving quality of life.
Absolutely.
In your opinion.
And it's important that you understand, too, that we know knowledge is power, and education is the beginning of that. When Coleman was in the House with me, I introduced some legislation, and he co-sponsored it, so that you could get a $3,000 tax credit that was to be sent to any public education institution. It had to be a public education institution, so that it could work on the core curriculums: English, math, arithmetic, and a little bit of algebra. We would give you a tax credit that you would give money to whatever school that you wanted, and it was up to $6,000, $3,000 for the husband and $3,000 for the wife. That was Coleman when they were closing all the schools, and we wanted to put more money, and they said they didn't have money to appropriate it. So we came up with a plan that the citizens could receive a federal tax credit for contributing that amount of funds to whatever elementary, high school, or even college that they wanted, as long as it was for core curriculums. And so
Oh,
we've
that's
been working
fabulous.
hard.
Look, I think that's a good thing, and I definitely think that's something that we should do. I mean, I know, Governor Snyder has a program right now in terms of going pro. I mean, I definitely think I think we need more investment in pre-apprenticeship programs. I support most of the going pro program, but I definitely think that's something that we need to look at in terms of our schools, as well as terms of tuition-free college. I think that's something that's important too. And I don't know why we can't levy a tax on Wall Street speculators to be able to bring down at least $80 billion $70 billion to be able to deal with the issue of paying for people to be able to go to college for free. That's something that's already been done, I think, in California in the 60s, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
I don't know why we can't continue to do that throughout the country. I think that the fact that you have people who are racking up $100,000 in student loan debt, I think it's just an impediment to people trying to achieve the American dream. And so I think if we do these things from K-12, as well as have tuition-free college, get the federal government out of the business of making profit off the college loan industry, cap the loans at these interest rates, expand the Pell Grant program. I think if we could do these things, we can make college more affordable, we can make our public schools better, and I definitely think that we could be on a long road of being an educated nation.
And
City
Wanda,
and state.
Coleman is being very modest. When we were
I
in the
know.
House, we did do the Detroit Promise,
We did.
Coleman.
We did do Detroit
We
Promise.
gave 2 years
know.
of free college to every Michigander, and the problem was they didn't appropriate any funds. Mayor Duggan took credit for that, but it was when we were legislators,
Mm-hmm.
it was patterned after the Kalamazoo Promise.
Yeah.
And each Detroiter had the right to have 2 years of free college. That was pre this year's announcement. We did that 4 years ago. They just didn't appropriate any money to get behind it for the free 2 years of college.
Well, listen, I want to say thank you, Ms. Black. Always a pleasure when you call.
Thank you.
Love you.
Good luck
Take
to
care
both of
now.
you.
God bless
Bye-bye.
you.
God bless you too. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
We got a caller. Caller, hey, you on the Young Effect. State Rep, soon to be State Senator Baker Scott. Hello? 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 He got some of that free college. Hello? Tuition free college. Hello? Hello?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing, sir?
Good afternoon to Betty Scott, too, as well.
Thank you.
You know, this is nothing political, but as this person, she usually calls into your show kind of like religiously. How is she doing, or have you know anything about her? Because I haven't heard her in a while.
Who you talking about? The person who just called?
No,
The
Tina
East Side
person, East Side lady.
Oh, you talking about the East Side lady.
Yeah,
oh,
Miss
oh,
Person.
oh. Yeah, from my understanding, she's doing well.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
I've
All
had
I
it-
know is,
I have a
like I
conversation
said,
a while, but she's doing okay. Yeah, thanks for
Okay.
asking. I hear she's doing all right.
Yeah, because I know I listen to you every Sunday. You know, I don't
Yeah.
necessarily call every Sunday, but she's usually a faithful caller, and it's been
Yeah.
a good number of weeks that she hasn't called. And what they say, no news is good news, but sometimes you want to hear the good news.
Yeah. Well, well, listen, I appreciate you being concerned. I mean, I definitely think that's something that we need more of is people watching out, looking for each other, and loving one another.
And that's-
But my understanding is she's okay. But I'm glad you asked. I'm going to call over there and probably double check just to make sure after the show was over. But for last time we talked, she was okay.
Okay, good enough. Good enough.
Yeah.
And
Well,
for-
I said hello.
I most certainly will. Thanks
All right,
again
yeah.
for calling, man.
And for the caller, I have to pass Bewick Street to get home, so I will make a pilgrimage to her
Yeah.
house, and I'll speak with her son if he's still there,
Yeah, I'm
Coleman.
sure he is.
And if not, I'll go across the alley to her neighbor and find out how she's doing, and he can report it back to you next week.
Yes, most certainly. I most certainly will.
right.
All right, thank you for your call. I appreciate it.
Coleman, can I tell them my district has
Yeah, go ahead.
changed since you
Go ahead, tell them.
took on the mantle?
Yeah.
State Senate District 1 used to end from Detroit, River Rouge, and Ecorse. It has been gerrymandered so badly, and this is why I need every vote I can get and every person to help. It now includes Detroit from Alter Road and Jefferson, all the way down, River Rouge, Ecorse, Wyandotte, Riverview, Woodhaven, listen to me, Brownstown,
Township.
Brownstown Township,
Grosse Ile.
Grosse Ile, Gibraltar.
Trenton.
Trenton, and that's the cities. It's been gerrymandered so badly,
Beautiful.
and I would have to have a jet plane or a boat in order to spend adequate time with these groups of people.
It goes from Alter to Gibraltar. That's what I used to say when I was campaigning. I would say it go all the way from Alter Road to the city of Gibraltar. And that's and that's it's something, man. It's quite a district. It's salt of the earth people. You know what I'm saying? I love my downriver folks down there, but it's quite a task. It's quite a task.
And it was hard for me to understand what was going on with that district. But I am, like I said earlier, but I'm the only candidate in that district that has shopped, prayed, or even lived in each one of those different cities or towns. Remember, I shopped, I worked, or I prayed in those districts. So as a representative, I will try to represent each group as well as you have, because I want you to know the mayor of Gibraltar said you need to come down there and have another drink
man.
with him.
I need to come down there and see him, man.
He told me to tell you that at the Downriver Mayor's meeting.
I need to come
Him
down
and the
there,
mayor of
man.
Riverview.
I need to, man. I need to come down there and say hey to him and Don Howard and Wyandotte and all those people. Shout out to them. We got another caller. Caller, you on the air? Walton Young, but he's good people down there.
They
Hello?
are. They love you too.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi, this is Kathy from the East Side.
What's up, Kathy?
Thank you for taking the call.
Always good to hear from you, Kathy. Go ahead.
And please forgive me, I came here a little bit late.
You all right?
But Ms. Scott, I'm sorry, were you running for which district again?
My old seat, District 1.
Oh, this is for your Senate seat.
My seat, yes. Yes, ma'am.
And
Oh, you
he's
have
being
very
elevated to the
large
Congress.
Shoes to fill.
Huh?
She has very large shoes to fill.
Oh, that's sweet of you to say. Thank you.
Well, I just want to say we appreciate you, and I'm hoping, because I do live in your district, so I'm hoping that Ms. Scott can listen to the constituents and fight for us like you have in Lansing.
Yes.
Well, I promised to, and this is what I decided to do, and I think it's been taken from me. As I traversed through that district, I said we would be divided into 4 sectors. Detroit would have its own meeting once a quarter. I would meet with the Detroit residents. Then I would add River Rouge, listen to this, Coleman, Ecorse, and Wyandotte together. And I would meet with them the second quarter. Then I would add Woodhaven, Riverview, and I think Brownstown together, and they would be in the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, I would bring in my Grosse Ile and Trenton and Gibraltar people. That way, I can be an effective legislator,
Yeah.
meeting with them at
Yeah.
least, not, my staffer, but me meeting with them
As many times as you can.
as many times as I can. And then they would only have to travel 15 minutes to get to the meeting because I would put it in the middle city.
Right.
And I hope that was important. And that's when the mayor says, well, I want to see my friend Coleman to come
Yeah.
back and talk to me because
to
he
go
did
back.
take care of us very well. So
That's right.
I'm going to try
That's
to
right.
have big shoes to follow, like you said.
Well, thank
And
you.
I have one more question. You are a state rep, is that correct, Ms. Scott?
Yes, I am the state representative presently for the city of Detroit, Far East Side, Grosse Pointe Park, Grosse Pointe City, and Grosse Pointe Farms.
Okay, great. So how long, and I'm trying to figure out how long you were in your state rep, and what have you been successful as far as Any laws have you passed? What have you been able to do for the constituents of your district?
As I said before, the repeal of the driver's responsibility law was my original bill, and I shepherded it through this time with the help of the Republicans. And I'm going to give a big
Wonderful.
shout out to the Macomb County Republicans. That Lucido, you know very well, they consented to assist me. I have at least 4 pieces of legislation that was passed. I also worked on the Humphrey Hawkins Full Employment Act, which was a resolution which was passed and sent to Washington for job employment, and especially for the CTEs, which is Career Technical Education. There are several bills, and if you leave your number, I'll make sure that you get a copy of the legislation. There's been 4 bills that were passed in my name, but it's not just my name. It takes all the representatives, and then it takes the governor to sign a bill into effect.
Exactly. And I understand. I'm just saying that, again, with Senator Young, he has passed over 11 laws. I think it's more than that. I'm not sure, sir. But I'm just saying you got large shoes to fill, and we're looking for a fighter. We can't take any lightweights in this district. We are one of the poorest districts, and I just need to know that you have our back.
Well, I have a 30-year employment record. I have a 30-year grassroots record. So, you know, my record is very long and very lengthy. If you remember, Public Act 123, which was when you could lose your property in 5 years ago, they changed it to Public Act 123 in 2000, and now you can have your property lost in 3 years. Those were legislations that I went to bat for. When they took over the schools in 1999, I was up in the gallery along with so many other people. We were not elected at the time, and we were screaming, do not take over our Detroit public schools. They did that well after midnight. That's when I knew I had to get elected to the State House. Let me tell you something else. When they took Career Technical Education Coleman out of schools, many of the old-timers remember when McMichaels had machine shops. You know, there were so many schools that the Detroit public school system had, and when they started the strippers in 1999, they took all of this out of junior high schools and high schools. You can't understand. I was an original member of Keep the Vote No Takeover. I was an original member through my staffers of Call 'em Out. See, I have a history within the community that's deeper than a lot of people. You may not have seen my face because I'm a bit player. And I stay in the background as long as it gets done for the greater good. And that's what Coleman worked on as a state rep and a senator. We work for the greater good of the people. That's why the driver's responsibility law had to be repealed. It saved 76,000 people. And if you call Detroit at Works now, Detroit at Works, you can see if you qualify for a waiver to take a 10-hour class. 10-hour class, and then your fees will be waived before October 1. This is stuff that I talked to with the administration and the city council. Again, I'm like Coleman. I don't have to be out front all the time. As long as the people get relief, we are very happy. Sometimes you get more done being in the background than people knowing what your plan is.
I understand. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. And I appreciate you giving information on your platform.
You got something.
And I know who you are. I've seen you out there.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, listen, we appreciate you. Love you, Kathy. Thank you so much. Now, State Rep Scott has to go. So we just want to say thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming. If we can, Brother Tyler, we could take a break. You know, this is the best operator we got back here, you know, Henry Tyler. So if we could take a break real quick, because the future state senator, Betty Cook Scott, has to leave. So we just want to say thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you. Good luck to you. God bless you. And I know we'll see you at the finish line in victory.
And I always jokingly tell people, one vote beat luck any day.
Hey, there it is.
I won
There
my
it is.
election with 32 votes
There
the
it
last
is.
time,
Well,
and I
that's
thank
all right. Well, listen, we know, we know, like they say, two touch a degree, and we're going to be a victory, so we're very excited about it. I just want to say again, it's such a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being on with you, and I said we'll definitely see you in the finish line.
And I do want to be able to support you in the State House when you get to Washington.
Absolutely.
I thank you. Thank you.
No doubt. Hello and welcome back to the Young Effect. I think we got some calls. We got any calls? Huh? No? Okay, cool. So listen, if you want to call in, the numbers are right here on the screen. Please feel free to do so. Listen, I just want to say we had an incredible week this week. I went door knocking in Kentucky, and as I'm going door knocking and talking to people, look at who I find. I find Brother Bay right out there with my sign in his car. It's a good thing when you see Brother Bay out there on the trail. So I've been out there doing things. We're looking real good. Everything is going well. We got 2 calls. I'm about to get to a topic. Caller, you on the air. Welcome to the Young Effect. Hello.
Hi, Coleman. How are you?
Hey, what's going on, Brenda?
I just want to call in and say that we had a wonderful week this week, and thanks to everyone who came to the office meeting yesterday.
Yeah.
And how many cities did you hit this week?
I think we hit 3. We hit 3 or 5, 3 to 5, 5 this week.
Yes, at least 5. Because every time I talk to you, you're in a different city.
Yeah, man. We've been in Romulus, we've been in Inkster, we've been in Ecorse, we've been in River Rouge, we've been in Detroit, we've been in the HP. So
That's right.
we everywhere, man. We was at Dearborn Heights just today. So leaving the Inkster Fest. So we doing big things. We've been in Redford Township. We're gonna go back to there this week. So everything been
Well,
going
you do
real
know
well.
that's 8 cities now. You're up
Huh?
to 8 cities.
Yeah, we been to them all. There's only one place we gotta go, and I'm gonna go there this next week. So.
And which city is that?
Well, it's 2 of them actually. I gotta go to Garden City and I gotta go to Melvindale. So we're gonna take care of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure they're waiting
And
to
Wayne.
hear from you and see you. You've been walking and knocking doors, going to events, and you have to come back to Detroit to take care of Detroit's business as well.
You know it, most definitely, no doubt.
So I want to give the number to the office. We need people to help with canvassing and phone banking. And I need
313.
someone for data entry as well.
So 313-675-7960. 313-675-7960. 313-675-7960. 313-675-7960. 313
And we need donations.
675
Where can they donate?
7960. What?
We need donations. Where can they donate?
They can donate at ColemanYoung.com. That's ColemanYoung.com. ColemanYoung.com.
And if they want to mail it?
Huh?
If they want to mail a donation?
They can mail it at 269 Walker, Suite 438, Detroit, Michigan, 48207. That's 269 Walker, Suite 438, 48207, Detroit, Michigan. That's
Absolutely.
269 Walker, Suite 438, Detroit, Michigan, 48207.
So I'm
Coleman
going to
Young
get
for
off the
Congress
phone
is who you
so
make it
because
out
you
to.
have more callers.
Okay, well, love you, appreciate you.
Love you too.
My now that's Coleman Young for Congress. Another
Hold
caller?
my name for phone.
Hello.
Yes. Tommy Young, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good.
Well, you have some voters that are concerned with the location that they live in. They have some slumlords in Dearborn Heights, in a resident called Terrace Park Apartments. It's located on Easter Road in between Ann Arbor Trail and Joy Road. And you have a bunch of elderly people and 50 people who haven't had any air in their apartment complex, and they're paying close to $1,000 a month. And the management is threatening to evict them because they won't pay their rent. They feel like, why should we pay our rent when the service is not rendered? Not only do they not have any air, they have potholes all through their apartment complex. People are tearing up their cars. They won't fix it. The gutters is hanging off. And this is in Dearborn Heights. Most people would think, from a stereotypical perspective, that this would be happening in places like Detroit, Highland Park, et cetera, when this is actually happening in the suburbs. It's happening in Dearborn Heights.
Well, listen.
And the voters in this particular district who want to vote for you, they were asking, could you please, figure out a way that you can help them out or talk with the management in that particular district, or who can we contact? Who can they contact in order to receive some type of help? Because they don't have any air. They haven't had any air throughout the whole heat wave that we've had this summer. And if we look at it, and it was wintertime, that means they wouldn't even have any heat right now.
Well, listen, that's why you need to call, well, first of all, the state senator out there is David Kniezek, but if you call this number right here, 517-373-7346, we either connect you to him, who's a great state senator, or you could, or we help you if we can, because that's the person we want to do. I know on the state level, we should, and I think we need to update a Bill of Rights for people who are in these apartment buildings and things of that nature, as well as I think on the federal level, what I want to do is give you informational campaigns in order to make sure that people will be able to know what their rights are as tenants. And, because you have rights on the state level and you have rights on the federal level involving certain things in terms of evictions and how things can be done. And what I want to do is I want to be able to provide those rights to you as well. And I think that's something that's very important. I don't know if you guys have an association over there or not, but I definitely think you should be looking at trying to invest in legal representation as well. Because that's terrible.
We would like for you over in that area in Dearborn Heights. We would like for you to come through and talk to us. And
I would love
that.
To
know why it's important to vote for you.
I would love that, man. Listen, if you call this number right here, 313-675 7960. If you call that number and talk to Brenda, the person just called earlier, she'll put you on the calendar and I'll go down there and see y'all.
Sounds good to us.
No doubt.
Well, thank you, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate
you. Keep up
you.
the good work. And we are voting for you in Dearborn Heights.
Hey, if y'all got your support, I know I'm winning.
All right.
Love you now. The caller, you on the air. Hello.
Praise the Lord. Hello.
Hey, praise the Lord. How are you doing?
I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
I love your platform. If you don't get an education, if you don't get an education, you can't make it in any area.
That's right.
Or any field that you require to work. Education is so important. Your whole platform is outstanding.
Mm-hmm. You hit it? Call back, Ms. Watson. We lost you. We had technical difficulties on our end. Call back. We got any more calls? So yeah, but since we talking about the issue of education, that's why I think it's so very important. Investing more in career technical education. I think that's something that we should be doing. And there's nothing wrong with that. You talking about pipe fitters, you talking about electricians, you talking about carpenters, you talking about construction workers, you talking about folks for police and fire, emergency services personnel, and other such things. I also think that we should have a pathway to the we should pave way for the tech industry as well, and in other places where they don't have apprenticeships, so people can learn those skills. We got a call. Caller, hey, sorry about that, Miss Watson.
Yes,
You back? Go ahead.
I'm so sorry.
Well, that's our fault.
But
Go
they
ahead.
gotta realize your platform is awesome.
Thank you.
I'm on fire about your platform. You look out for the people that you're leaving to make sure they're taken care of too. You got it all around.
Hey.
God bless you because you are a caring person for everyone. And the gentleman should call his representative in Dearborn Heights. That's what he's there for. And I thank you so much for taking my call because you got it made.
Well, thank you. I love you and I appreciate you.
You're welcome, sweetheart.
God bless
Bye-bye.
you now. Thank you so much. And Miss Watson, I feel a lot better now. We got another caller? That was it. So, yeah, I think that's something that's very important. You know, especially now. You look at the backdrop now. I don't know if you know about that recent case in terms of Highland Park where they basically decided that literacy is not an issue for the state of Michigan, and that's not a requirement. What is the purpose of education if we're not required for our babies to be able to read? The basic test for anybody to be able to participate in the economy is the ability to be able to read and write. And they came out with a disastrous decision, disgusting decision. I mean, this has been a week so far of disasters between this and Janus, which I think is nothing more but a national union busting law or union busting decision, basically. But I think that, you know, which is one of the first things I think when I get up in there, I'm going to work to overturn, pass legislation on in terms of this decision with Janus. I think it's outrageous. But, yeah, I also want to thank the men of North End, too. That was a real good event that we had at the North End. I went over there, talked to those brothers, got my signs out and everything, so that was real good. But, yeah, I mean, you know, so, I mean, the fact that they're not required to teach our kids to read and write, I think that is despicable. I think it is disgraceful. I think it is shameful. I mean, it basically reminds me of badges of slavery. It is outrageous when it was illegal for us to read. How are you not going to be able to teach our babies to read? What is the purpose if you're not doing that? So, all right, look, that's my time. Remember, nobody cares how much you know till they know how much you care. I'm Coleman Alexander Young II, your state senator, soon to be your next congressman. We'll see you right here on the Young Effect. Vote for Coleman Young for Congress of the 13th District. God bless you. We'll see you later next time.